discussed in the previous class? Can someone just tell what we discussed in the previous class, last class? In fact, our introductory session. Did we not discuss anything? Okay. So we just looked into the difference between data mining and various related disciplines like data science, machine learning, data analytics, and other things. Then we also looked into the significance of the subject called data mining. Why should we learn data mining? Okay, so, and we discussed that it was all due to the explosive growth of data from terabytes to petabytes. Okay, and we are getting a lot of data from heterogeneous data sources like your web data or e-commerce data or from transactional databases or from stock market or from all your IoT devices, remote sensing devices, or from some simulation. Okay, so you're getting a lot of data, which is huge, multi-dimensional, voluminous data. So you need to have good techniques in order to analyze the data and to get some useful knowledge out of the data. Okay, so that was the reason for the data, the growth, inception of data mining. Okay, so next two disciplines which contributed towards the growth of data mining. So one is what is called your science, evolution of science. So along with the growth of science, data mining also grew. The second one was the database technology, which contributed to the growth of what is called your data mining. Okay, so you can see here the empirical sciences. Empirical science in the sense, the science which is being supported by evidence. It could be some qualitative evidence or quantitative evidence or some theoretical evidence. It contributed towards, you can say, sowed seeds for your fundamentals of data mining. Then your theoretical sciences, okay, all those hypotheses and other things. Then you have your computational science, where you use your mathematical models, to solve a particular problem or to analyze something. Okay, so then of course from 90s we started hearing about data science. Data science. Then the reasons for it: the flood of data from scientific instruments, the internet, scientific information, a lot of things. And now of course we have what is called our data mining. Okay, then of course we have another thing which contributed towards the growth of data mining is nothing but your database technology. Database technology. Okay, your DBMS and databases, starting from 60s to the 2000s. It has undergone a lot of changes. Okay, so I'll just show you another. Yeah, so this will show the growth of your database technology. Okay, so wherein you have, maybe if you had learned DBMS initially, you would have seen this chart. Okay, so the predecessor for your DBMS was nothing but your file processing system, which had a lot of disadvantages like redundancy, integrity problems, and other things. So due to which we had an alternative, or that gave birth to what is called your database management system. Okay, then there were many types of database management system. You had your network relational systems, hierarchical systems. Then of course we had what is called your RDBMS, relational database management system. That was one of the most popular and still in demand today. Then like the data which is being stored in your RDBMS, you could retrieve it with the help of what is called your SQL, structured query language. Okay, which had, and then of course we had reporting tools with good UIs, user interfaces, forms, and other things. Then yeah, query processing, optimization, all these was growing. Okay, then transactions, how to control the transactions, concurrency control and recovery, all these aspects associated with transactions. So that became under what is called your OLTP, online transaction processing systems, OLTP systems. Okay, so all these came under the umbrella of what is called a DBMS. Then the advanced versions of it, advanced DBMS. You had all your object-oriented databases, object relational databases, extended databases, and other things. Temporal, different types of data. Database, I mean DBMS, which could handle a variety of types of data, temporal data, time series data, spatial data, web logs, all those things. Then, of course, advanced data analytics. Okay, so in data mining, we do what is called online analytical processing. Okay, so in DBMS, we used to do transaction processing using queries like your SQL. Okay, whereas in your data, warehouse, the go down where you store all your data from all your different data sources. So you do what is called your analytical processing. What it is, how it is being done, we'll learn in course of time. Okay, so data warehouse and OLAP. Okay, the knowledge discovery, mining complex, different types of data, structured data, unstructured data, and all these things. Okay, so this, yeah, the few then coming, and it's still evolving. Okay, so that's regarding the DBMS. Okay, so DBMS, which contributed to the evolution of your so-called data mining. Okay, stream data management, data mining applications, web technology, GIS. Okay, so next, moving on to what basically is data mining. Okay, so this was already defined when we discussed why do we go for data mining. Okay, so what basically is data mining? Data mining is known by different names. Okay, so some call it as knowledge discovery in databases, some call it as data dredging, and yeah, data mining, knowledge extraction, data or pattern analysis, data archaeology, data dredging, information harvesting, and even your BI, business intelligence. Okay, so these are all alternative names for data mining. Okay, so yeah, so data mining is nothing but just like extracting gold from the rock. It's nothing but extracting interesting, non-trivial, or you can, in simple words, you can say finding some hidden information from the database. So data mining is all about finding some hidden information in a database, so which was previously unknown. Okay, discovering some hidden, so previously unknown, but then yet some valid relationships among the data. So that's what is data mining all about. Okay, so the insights, whatever you get from your data, it can be used for various applications. It could be some marketing application, or it can be for some fraud detection, credit card fraud detection, or whatever, or it could be used for some scientific discovery. Okay, so all these can be done. Okay, so then, for example, with the help of your data mining, let's say a retailer or a person, a supermarket. Okay, so they could use all these point of sales information, the point of sales data, what they collect at the billing counter, the sales market, supermarket billing counter, the point of sales data records. So they, it will have all the history of customer purchases. Okay, so they can analyze that data in order to send some targeted promotions to the individuals based on their previous purchase history. Okay, so if you analyze the customer's purchase history, you might be able to find out some interesting patterns or trends. Okay, so based on that, offers can be given, targeted, the promotions can be aimed at those customers so that they are able to retain the customer with that particular supermarket or with that particular organization. Okay, so all these things we'll be learning under the heading called association rule mining or association data mining. I think in second or third unit, you will be learning different techniques for doing this. Okay, and it comes under the heading called market basket analysis. Okay, so for example, I can give you a simple example to make you understand. It's mentioned here. Extracting non-trivial, implicit, previously unknown, and potential patterns or knowledge from huge amount of data. There are so many terminologies mentioned out here. Okay, for example, let's say all of you are familiar with the vegetable chain called Paramudar. Okay, so let's say people who buy vegetables at Paramudar. Okay, so they also buy bread along with it. Okay, so previously this pattern was not noticed, but then like after finding such a pattern that people who buy vegetables are also buying bread along with the vegetable, then Paramudar can make use of that discovery. So that pattern which was discovered to bring in more varieties of bread and give the customers a wider choice, rather than the customers going to some other bakery and buying a bread. If they're being provided with a number of varieties of bread, more and more people along with the vegetables will start buying the bread. Okay, then along with the bread, they can also bring in some butter or jam. So with the assumption that people who buy bread will also buy butter and jam. Okay, so this is what is discovering a previously unknown pattern and making it useful for the organization to make their profits increase. Okay, so when you say trivial, trivial means not significant. Okay, so I mean implicit, not stated clearly. Okay, so all this was analyzed with some sort of mining. Okay, so that's what is data mining all about. Okay, so that's the definition of data mining. Okay, extraction of interesting patterns or knowledge from very large databases. Okay, so next we move on to, because we said data mining is also called knowledge discovery in databases, KDD. Okay, so now let's try to understand the different processes involved in this knowledge discovery. Okay, so knowledge discovery. So first step, we have what is called your data cleaning. Okay, so any idea why do we need to clean the data? Why do we need to clean the data? People are listening or sleeping? Dharani, why do we need to clean the data?
To avoid storage problem.
Okay, at least some response. I'm not expecting a correct answer. This is just to make sure that you people are listening. Okay, so what I mean to say
remove
is,
duplicates.
yes. So what we say is our real world data is considered to be dirty data. Dirty data in the sense it will have noise associated with it. It will have missing values. The data may be irrelevant. Outliers may be there, as somebody said just now. What is it? Duplicates may be there, redundancy may be there. So the real world data is what is called dirty data, inconsistent data. So you need to remove all these data. Noise, when I say, it's nothing but random or some variance error associated with the data. So we need to, remove all these sort of abnormalities. Rather than telling abnormalities, in data mining terminology, we call it as anomalies. Anomalies associated with the data, anomalies. Okay, so data cleaning is for removing the anomalies associated with the data. Okay, so anomalies like missing values. Okay, so for example, the data may be collected by some instrument. So due to the faulty working of the instrument, certain values was not recorded. Okay, so when it comes to analysis, when you try to analyze the data, so we have to do something with that missing value. For example, maybe we can replace that missing value by some global constant. Okay, so or some specific attribute, maybe having some missing data. Okay, so at that particular point, okay, so even we can have a machine learning model sort of a thing, a prediction model, where these attributes can be created, and later at some point of time the missing attributes can even be predicted. So that can also be done. Okay, so something has to be done with the missing data, or not, missing data. Then another issue is, along with the missing data, another issue is inconsistent data. What could be an example for an inconsistent data? Inconsistent data. For example, if age is the attribute, field or attribute. So normally people live from the age of, let's say, up to 100 years or maximum 110 years. So, but then if you have a value 150 associated with an age, so all of us know that age never can have a value called 150. So that is a example for an inconsistent data. So you should set filters appropriately, or you will have to change those kind of values. Okay, so data cleaning is all about eliminating the irrelevant records from the database. Okay, so after that you go for what is called your data integration. Data integration. Data integration. Why this data integration? Why do we need to integrate data? Any idea? Aravind, any idea why do we need to integrate? There is an Aravind in this class, no? Aravind, any idea why do we need to do data integration? Aravind is sleeping. Okay, Sharon Varghese is there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, at least you responded. Any idea why do we do data integration?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So, like the data what we are collecting, it is coming from, you can say, heterogeneous data sources. So what I mean to say is, it may one particular data source of an organization. Let's say, for example, one electronics company, let's say ABC Electronics Company. So it's having 10 different branches located in different parts of the world. Okay. So maybe when we have to do a data analysis or for the data of associated with your ABC Electronics based on the different branches across the world. In such a case, we will have to combine the data from all these various data sources. Okay, so those things will have to be combined and put it into what is called your data warehouse. Data warehouse. I can show you a small diagram which can make this concept a little more easier to understand. So you can see here, see one data source can be in Chicago, another one can be in New York, another one can be in Toronto, or another one can be in Vancouver. Okay, and then the naming consistencies, the rules, the regulations being followed in different countries can be different. For example, we have the convention when it comes to date, we follow DDMMYY. Okay, maybe in other country, maybe in Britain or US, they may follow MMDDYY. Okay, so when both these data are coming into the data warehouse, some sort of standardization, some cleaning, some integration, some transformation has to be done. Otherwise, this will create a lot of issue. I gave you a small example for a date. Okay, so DDMMYY and MMDDYY date formats, the same data coming into the data warehouse can create issues. Okay, so that's the reason why we need to clean and integrate the data. Okay, so that's what is data integration all about. Okay, so where you're combining multiple data sources. Okay, so all these data from heterogeneous different data sources has to be combined into a common source. So that's what is your data warehouse. Okay, so data warehouse. The data can be from your World Wide Web, or it can be from your, it can be organizational data from different places. Okay, so data integration is generally done by what is called your ETL techniques, extraction, transformation, and loading techniques. And there are tools for it, migration tools, synchronization tools, and number of tools are available. We'll discuss those things later if it comes as a part of your syllabus, or we'll take it up later. As of now, you need to know that data integration is all about combining data from heterogeneous data sources into a common unified platform called your data warehouse. Okay, and data warehouse is constructed by your ETL process. You extract the data, you transform the data, and you load the data into your data warehouse. And you have tools for all these things. Data cleaning tools are there, data integration tools are there. So the third step is what is called your data selection. Data selection. What is data selection? Because in step one, or initially, we would have collected a lot of data. Okay, so then all those data may not be required for us. Okay, so we need to select only those data which we think can be useful for your data mining process, or on the basis of what we require. Okay, so you can say data selection means you are selecting the task relevant data is being retrieved from the database. Whatever is relevant for the task under consideration. Okay, so data selection can be done using your neural networks, it can be done using your decision trees, it can be done using your naive Bayesian things, or you can data selection can be done using clustering, using regression, so many things. Okay, that's the coverage of ML. We are not discussing about it. So I just want to mention to you that data selection is all about you select only those data whatever is required for your data mining. So that is what is data selection, task relevant data. Whatever is required for the task which is being given to us. Okay, selecting that particular data. Okay, data selection. Then the next is what is called your data transformation. Data transformation, it comes as a part of your data selection itself, data transformation. I think you have another diagram which gives you selection and transformation is combinedly mentioned. Okay, so out here I'm just mentioning it separately: data selection and data transformation. Okay, so transformation in the sense, I mean, by applying techniques like reducing the dimensionality of the data. Okay, because real world data, n number of dimensions will be there. You may not require all those dimensions, so you can apply dimensionality reduction techniques, or you may not require all the features. Okay, so you can I mean, make use of what is called your feature selection techniques. Okay, so the data will be transformed, and then it will be consolidated into uh, some sort of aggregation, or some sort of summarized data will be provided. Summarized data or aggregated data will be provided. Some sort of summary statistics will be provided for the data as a result of your data transformation. It could be your, when I say summary statistics in simple words, it can be sum, average, count. So these are all summary statistics. There are many more, much beyond that. So for your understanding sake, what I just mentioned is you are performing some sort of data transformation. Okay, so some techniques like dimensionality reduction or feature selection, then you extract the records. Okay, record, I mean, even attributes can also be transformed. Okay, attribute transformation techniques are also available. So like discretization, then there are various techniques. Okay, then functional transformation. Okay, that's beyond the coverage of what is being mentioned in your syllabus. Okay, so this step, whatever, this data selection and transformation, generally it's a combined step. Okay, so that is very much important as a part of your knowledge discovery process. Okay, and it will be very specific to the project, whatever you are doing, or the mining functionality, whatever you are doing. Okay, so the next step, what is the next step mentioned there? 3 plus 4, I'll write data selection and transformation. Then this is fifth one, data mining. Fifth one is what is called your data mining. Okay, so what is data mining? We have defined it a number of times. Okay, so you can say some intelligent technique or some clever technique which will help you to extract some data patterns. Okay, so so now we are ready for applying the different types of data mining techniques on the data. It can be some clustering, or it can be some association analysis. So there are different types of data mining techniques are available. We'll be learning that in different units. So now we are ready to apply all these techniques on the data. Okay, data mining. So you can see here, data mining is being depicted as one step in this knowledge discovery process. Okay, then the next step is what is called your pattern evaluation. Sixth step, pattern evaluation. Okay, so now we have applied some data mining technique. We have found out some pattern. Okay, so now we have to evaluate the goodness of that pattern. How good is that pattern? You need to assess that pattern. Okay, so you need to remove the redundant patterns from the patterns, whatever is being generated, or you need to evaluate how good the pattern is. Okay, so there are various interestingness measures associated with evaluating the pattern. That also we will be discussing in the second and the third unit, like measures like confidence and other things are there. So to identify how interesting the pattern is, whatever which is representing some knowledge. So some what is called interestingness measures are available for evaluating the pattern. Okay, so as of now, just keep in mind, for example, it could be confidence. That is an example for a interestingness measure, which will give you, which will tell you how good your pattern is. Okay, then the last step. The last step is knowledge presentation. Knowledge presentation. Seventh step is knowledge presentation. What is knowledge presentation? So using some visualization techniques or some knowledge representation techniques, the mind knowledge should be made available to the user. Okay, so mainly visualization tools are used for this purpose. Okay, so the higher, especially in business, higher level management, they're not interested in reading stories from what you have found out. So they want crisp data represented in the form of some reports or some tables or it is being presented to them as some sort of rules, okay, or some classification rules, okay, some sort of rules, or as some report or some charts, pie chart or bar chart or histogram. Okay, so that is how the knowledge will be presented. So visualization techniques form a major part in this knowledge presentation. Okay, so this is what is called knowledge discovery in database. So this is the same diagram put in another form. Okay, so you can see here these first 4 steps: data cleaning, okay, so this data cleaning, data integration, data selection, and data transformation. Together, we call it as data pre-processing. Data pre-processing. That's what is called data pre-processing. Okay, so the data mining step. Okay, so mining step is the step with which the knowledge, the user will be interacting. The data mining step will interact with the user or with the knowledge base. Okay, so and in short, this knowledge discovery in database, what I have just told you. Okay, so it's an iterative process. Okay, so whatever interesting patterns are being found out, okay, so that will be presented to the user or to the end user. Okay, and it will be stored in the knowledge base. Okay, and this process repeats. So that's what is basically called your knowledge discovery process. Knowledge discovery process in data mining. Okay, wherein data mining is being depicted as one of the steps involved in this process. I hope you have understood. Are you all listening? Listening or sleeping? No response from anyone?
Listening, ma'am.
Listening. Okay, strength is shown as 51. Okay, let me call out few names. Let me see. Hitain is there in the class? Hitain. No response
Yes,
means
ma'am.
no attendance. Either yes or no, whatever should be there. Once our response should come. Abel, 25 from C section. Are you there in class? Okay, marking him as absent today. Abel is absent today. Mic issues won't work out with me. Okay. What about Kishore, 57? Kishore is there?
Yes, ma'am.
What about Sridevi? C section, 61.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Are you all listening? Okay, fine. So we move on to the next topic. Okay, yeah, this is, the same KDD process, what I just mentioned. It's being depicted from ML and statistics point of view. You can see here, data pre-processing. When I say data pre-processing, what it means. What it means, you can see here, data integration, normalization. Again, there are different techniques for normalization. Normalization is all about putting the data into one specific range, preferably between 0 and 1 or whatever. Putting it into some range. There are different techniques for normalization, like min-max normalization, z-score normalization. Okay, let's see whether it comes in your syllabus. If it comes, we'll discuss about it. Okay, then feature selection, dimensionality reduction, then data mining techniques. I said it can be any of these techniques. We'll be learning all these in different units. Okay, then we have one more step called, just like data pre-processing, we have something called post-processing also. You can see here, the pattern evaluation, selecting the pattern, evaluating the pattern, interpreting and making use of some visualization tools and techniques to present the pattern to the user. It comes under the category called post-processing. Okay, so we have data pre-processing, then we have, this is data pre-processing, then data mining, this is data mining, and this is data post-processing. Post-processing. Okay, then finally the pattern or the information is being presented to the user. Okay, this is the same diagram from an ML view. Okay, so an example is being given from medical data mining. Example for data mining being used in the healthcare sector. This is not the only domain where data mining is being used. One of the popular sectors is being, shown here. Okay, so in data, in healthcare, where can data mining techniques be used? Okay, so maybe you can use data mining applications to track people with some chronic illness or people in the ICU. Then, with the help of that, decrease the number of hospital admissions or whatever. Okay, and then support the hospital management that can be done as far as the healthcare sector is concerned. Then so many medical data will be available in public repositories, NCBI or various sites. Public repositories and other things, data will be available, or you can try to analyze the medical records from from a hospital. You analyze those data and search for some patterns. Search for some patterns. Maybe that can even demonstrate that there is a probable attack by some bioterrorist or whatever. Who is a bioterrorist? Bioterrorist. So deliberately, please.
Yeah, organization who release harmful viruses in the society.
Yes. Now what has happened to a COVID coronavirus? People say China's bioterrorist has released it. So they deliberately release the bacteria or virus, or purposely to cause some sort of pandemic situation or death or some illness, whatever. Okay, so that can also be found out in advance if it's done properly by analyzing the huge medical data sets or your hospital records or whatever. Okay, or even you can use data mining to detect whether fraud is happening, because medical insurance, mediclaims, that's a very huge area. Okay, so whether fraud, abuse, etc. is happening in that particular domain, whether fraud insurance is being given, or whether mediclaims are not being given, or whether it is given in an inappropriate manner. So there, in medical domain, data mining can be made use of. There are different techniques are there. Okay, so once you start learning the different techniques, after you learn few techniques, we'll take up a case study. Then it will give more sense out of what I'm telling. Right now, I'm just telling the areas where it can be used. Okay, so what data mining techniques can be used in these particular domains. Now, if I tell, you may not understand it correctly. So let's take it up after we learn few data mining techniques. Okay, then again in hospital, where we can use data mining techniques to see whether any inappropriate or wrong prescriptions are being given by doctors. Okay, so all these things can be done. Okay, so yeah. So these are the data mining techniques which can be looked into for the same. Okay, so then you can see here what is called a web mining framework. Web mining framework. So more or less, most of the things are familiar to you. Data cleaning. I said to remove the noisy data, outliers, irrelevant data. To remove that. Then data integration from heterogeneous data sources into a unified platform called your data warehouse, warehousing the data. Then we have something called a data cube construction. Okay, we need to look into this. What is this? Data cube construction. Then, of course, we have what is called data selection, mining, presentation, knowledge to be stored into the knowledge base. So the only new thing what we came up across here is what is called a data cube. Data cube. Heard about data cube? At least heard about, you would have heard about Rubik's Cube, right? Somebody plays that, solves that. Okay, so this was a PPT to show you that medical data mining, different types of diseases and what tools can be used. These are the different data mining tools. Okay, so maybe one day you can have, if you're interested, we can have a session on the various data mining tools. Veka is the most popular data mining tool. The technique which is being used, the algorithm and the accuracy level. Okay, this is from the hospital domain. Okay, so you can see the accuracy level chart also using different tools. what is the level of accuracy that you get for the various diseases. Okay, then using different tools, Weka tool, using your RST tool, using your artificial neural networks. Okay, so this is just a chart for you to see. Okay, so now why I came here is to tell you what this data cube is. Here we are telling about a data cube construction. Data cube construction. Okay, so in simple words, when I say real world data, it is not just data with 1 or 2 dimensions. It may be having 25 dimensions or 30 dimensions or n number. It is multi-dimensional, n dimensional, we can say. Okay, so this data cube is something which will enable the data to be modeled and viewed in multiple dimensions. Okay, so how you construct this data cube is, so data cube is basically constructed from a subset of attributes of the database. So when I say subset of attributes of the database, or when I say database, are you able to visualize how a database looks like? Are you able to visualize how a database looks like? Tell me yes or no. Somebody beautifully gave me the definition for a database as a collection of interrelated data, which is being stored in a computer system. Okay, and how do you store this data into the computer system? Or when it is stored in the computer system, how does it look like? Are you able to visualize? Yes or no? Tell me. Are you able to visualize in your mind how data is being stored in the database? So the most easiest way to understand is it will be stored in a tabular format in the form of rows and columns. Okay, so this is the view which is being provided by what is called your relational database management system. You will learn more about this in the next semester, but then for you to understand certain things, I need to mention few things. Okay, for example, if this is a student database, okay, student database, or you can, so this is also called a student table, a student relation. Okay, so how do you describe a student? Student can have a registration number, a name, let's say a department. Okay, registration number 1, 2, 3. Let's say, who are the familiar names in my class just now? Okay, let's say Dharani. Dharani is there in class, department computer science. Okay, 4, 5, 6. Who's another person in the class? Okay, Sharan. Okay, let me put you in EC department. Okay, okay, then 7, 8, 9. Let's say another registration number. Let's say Jack. He belongs to mechanical. Okay, so what are these? What are these? So when, as a computer science student, when you say a database, you should be able to visualize that the data is getting stored in the form of rows and columns in a tabular form. This is actually the relational view for a data. Okay, so what is this 1, 2, 3 Dharani ECSE? So this means it is a record. Rows are called records. Record number 1 belongs to Dharani. Record number 2 belongs to Sharan. Record number 3 belongs to Jack. Then what are these? Registration number, name, and department. What are these? What are these? These are the attributes. Attributes or fields or columns. Columns, attributes, or fields which will describe your student table. Okay, so this is how the data gets stored in the database in a computer system. Okay, then after storing this data in the database, how do you retrieve this data? How do you retrieve this data? It is not enough if you just store and keep the data, right? You need to retrieve it from time to time for various purposes. Okay, you need to do some manipulations on the data and then extract certain data from it and display it. So can anybody tell me how do you retrieve? people would have done a number of computer courses or some courses, definitely you'll be able to answer me. Okay. Can somebody answer me? How do you retrieve the data from what is being stored in the database?
SQL, ma'am.
Yes. You have what is called query languages. So one such query language is what is called your structured query language. So with the help of these queries, you query the database. You query the database and you extract the information from there. Okay, so that's the purpose of your SQL. You have many query languages. Okay, so maybe when you have learned DBMS in detail, you will learn about all these things. So why I am telling you all these things is, I just showed you a student table which had 3 attributes. But in real world, it is not a simple student table with 3 attributes. This student table will have maybe 40 attributes. So many attributes will be there. Okay, so analyzing such a table and getting some useful information out of it is very difficult. So that's the reason why we go for what is called your data cube. Okay, so data cube can always be constructed from a subset of the attributes in the database. Okay, so you can have 2 attributes and create a 2-dimensional data cube, or you can have 3 and have a 3-dimensional data cube. Okay, see here, this is a based on 3 dimensions. One is location, 1 dimension is location, 2nd dimension is time, and 3rd dimension is the item type. So these are the different dimensions. You can see 3 dimension. Okay, so previously this cube had 2 dimensions. Okay, date, date, product is there. Then so so what I mean to say is, you can have, your data cube is being created from a subset of attributes, whatever is available in your database. Okay. Then another thing is, data cube will always show some summary statistics, some sort of aggregated data. Aggregated data. For example, you can see here. Okay, 605. Okay, this is the data representing for 1 quarter. Okay, so here the time is being divided into 4 quarters. Okay, so maybe in a year it is being divided into 4 quarters. So for quarter 1, what is the value for home entertainment? For quarter 2, what is the sales for home entertainment? Or this is quarter 1 computer, how much is the sales? Okay, so this is the sales data of ABC Electronics Corporation. Okay, so the data cube will always be representing aggregated data. Okay, so let's say this is, see, for the location Chicago, for location New York, location Toronto, for the item. There are different items in different quarters. Okay, so this is how data will be visualized. So, and then in order to retrieve, you can do what is called your online analytical processing, where you drill down the data or roll up the data. All those things will take it up later. So just I'm telling, just like how you write SQL queries and query the database, here you do analytical processing in order to get the useful information out of the data, because your real world data is multi-dimensional data. Okay, so here they are keeping it, the various dimensions are, you can see here, time is 1 dimension, then item is another dimension, then I think branch, location is another dimension, branch, location, all these are different dimensions around which the data is being organized. Okay, so this is, I just wanted to show you the different, how, what is data cube all about. Okay, so data cube, and this is a 2-dimensional view of sales data. So, and the point to be noted is, it will have always aggregated information. Data cube will have always aggregate information. Aggregate information. Okay, so yeah, this is 3-dimensional view. Okay, so the 3 dimensions are added. I just showed you location, time, and item. All the 3 are added. Okay, so similarly, you can do, you can have 4 dimension, 5 dimension, and so on. Okay, so why I just mentioned this regarding, just to make you familiar with the concept of what is called your data cube. Okay, so that's what is data cube construction. Okay, then moving on to what is called your data mining in business intelligence. Okay, so this is the mining from a BI point of view. Okay, so these are all the tasks of a DBA. Who's a DBA? A database administrator. Okay, collecting the data, pre-processing, exploring. Then when it comes to analyst, you'll be mining it. A business and data analyst and a business analyst. Business analyst would be using some visualization techniques or visualization tools to present the data. Then finally, that will be used for decision making in the organization. Okay, so next. Yeah, this is actually, I just told you, a multi-dimensional view of data mining. Okay, so this each we will be taking up. What data has to be mined? It can be a database data, or it can be a data warehouse data, transactional data, then the kind of knowledge to be mined. Okay, the data based on various data mining functionality. This is actually the next topic. What are the techniques utilized for it? Then what are the applications? Okay, so first we will be taking up the data to be mined. Okay, what are the different, what kind of data can be mined? Okay, what kind of data can be mined? This is the first thing we'll be taking up. After that, followed by what knowledge to be mined, then techniques to be mined, and applications. Okay, so when it comes to what kind of data can be mined, we can see here what kind of data can be mined. So you can see here what is called relational database. What is this relational database? What is relational database? 2 minutes back, I told about a relational database, no? What is that?
A database consisting of records with fields.
Ah, yes, that's what. This is a relational database. I just told you this is the structure of a relational database, RDBMS. Okay, so there are different types of DBMS, but then the most popular is what is called your RDBMS. Okay, so that's what. Then we have. Okay, the time is also getting over. Okay. Then we have data warehouse. Okay, warehouse means data from different data sources will be stored in your data warehouse. Okay, then what about your transactional data? What is this transactional data? Transactional data means what? So the transactional databases will be capturing the transactions. What is this transactions? For example, the purchase being done by a customer. So when a purchase is being done by the customer, what are the items which are being captured? Maybe the transaction ID. Then what are the list of items which are being purchased? What is the quantity which is being purchased? Then, of course, the description of item. Then maybe the name of the salesperson who billed your transaction, who took care of you at the customer desk. Okay, so all these things will form a part of your transactional database coming under what is called an OLTP systems, online transaction processing system. Okay, so data into your data warehouse will be coming from your OLTP systems, online transaction processing systems. Okay, the different types of data are also there. Okay, so from different data sources, data will be undergoing all these things coming to your data warehouse. Then by using your query and analysis tools, some processing analysis will be done and then will be presented to the client. So this is how it happens. Okay, so I'm winding up with this. Okay, I think we are very slow in moving ahead. So I have a class at 12 o'clock. Okay, quickly answer your attendance, and after giving your attendance, you can leave the class.